Happy holidays, and welcome to the latest writer's commentary for the Batman Beyond portion of DC Comics' Batman Beyond Unlimited, this time covering material printed in the book's 10th issue. I'm Adam Beechin, the writer in question. Our cover was drawn by Dustin Nguyen in what looks like a clever Kingdom Come homage. The interior was drawn by Norm Breyfogle, colored by Andrew Elder, lettered by Saida Temafonte, and edited by Alex Antone. Before we jump in, I want to say something about covers, and maybe I've covered this before, I don't know. But I'm not a fan of having text on the covers of comics. I like the image to be as big as possible and let it do the work of luring in readers. Hopefully the art is intriguing enough to get that job done. In that respect, we're very fortunate to have Dustin doing our covers. He's got a very distinct, not to mention awesome, style that you instantly recognize as his, even as you just glance across the racks. There aren't many cover artists who can get you to pick up and check out a comic you might not otherwise do, just on the strength of the image alone. Brian Boland is one that comes to mind for me. Dustin, I think, is another one. Welcome back to my own personal Batcave. Happy holidays. I hope all of you had a great Christmas and that you're looking forward to a happy and healthy new year. This should be a fairly short commentary as we've only got 10 pages of printed material to talk about this month. So with any luck, we'll have you out of here in no time. Let's get started. As I think I've mentioned, I've worked pretty far ahead on this title. But one thing I'm very cognizant of as a freelancer is to never miss deadlines. I don't want to give any editor any excuse to not use me in the future, so I try to control as many of the variables as I can, and turning scripts in on time is one of them. Of course, working ahead in comics where things can change pretty quickly can be problematic. Sometimes someone has a brilliant idea for a crossover that affects your book, but you've already written past the point where the crossover is supposed to appear, so you have to go back and figure out a way to incorporate it, and then it affects everything you've written since. Now that didn't happen on Batman Beyond, but working so far ahead really proved a detriment when we learned about our production schedule. 1 month with 20 pages published, followed by 2 months with 10 pages each. We hadn't written chapter breaks every 10 pages, the stories were paced for 20 pages. So we had to go back and rejigger things to get good cliffhangers at the end of every 10 pages. And sometimes we're not sure when we're going to be printing 10 or 20 pages in a particular month, which can make for some pretty unintentionally awkward breaks between pages 10 and 11 on a month when you have 20 pages printed. I was talking to J.T. Krull, the writer of Superman Beyond, about this at a signing we did recently, and we were laughing about it. How at the bottom of page 10, Batman will head for the fridge to get a sandwich, and because you think it's the end of a chapter, the last page for the month, you'll start page 11, the first part of the next chapter, with Batman saying, "I just got a sandwich," and because it's appearing back to back, all of a sudden he sounds like he took too many shots to the head. And all of this is a long way of getting to the point that putting in recap information, telling readers what's gone before in the story, is a tricky thing. On the one hand, you hate to have new readers coming in cold with no knowledge of what's going on, but on the other, you don't want to spend too much time on recap because you only have 10 pages, and you have to move the story forward. So here, we try to incorporate the recap organically into the dialogue. Sometimes we're more successful than not, but I think it works pretty well here. Then we move into the Joker King explaining his philosophy, his take not just on what it means to be a Joker, but his feelings about life in general. Usually this kind of dialogue takes place when the hero is strapped to the death trap in the villain's lair, and the villain is feeling cocky enough to spill his guts, but because we've set up the Joker King to be too smart to go near the scene of the crime, he answers it simply here. The secondary effect of this is that when he and Batman meet, Batman won't have any idea why this guy is doing what he's doing, which hopefully makes the Joker King seem even more random and terrifying to Batman. And that's usually how it works in real life. Very seldom do you find out the motives behind the actions of the worst criminals. It's just random and senseless. It might be realistic in the real world, but it's not satisfying in a comic. So we compromised and did it here, away from Batman. Then, of course, it's goodbye to Pally, which fits right in with the Joker King's nihilism. He's just explained the core of who and what he is to someone he shoots in the face immediately after. Why? Why not? Then he walks away, whistling. Creepy. Here's another thing that's tough to do in a 10-page chapter. Devote 2 pages to a largely silent scene, and I apologize for the crappiness of the scan here. But we felt Tim's return to the Batcave was important enough that we needed to see it played out sort of slowly and agonizingly, to emphasize how hard it is for him. And this is where Norm kicks ass. Check out the expression on Tim's face just before the panel where his foot hesitates above the Batcave floor. It's perfect and totally captures that moment of, I could turn back now, I could still do it. The battle between everything he's been through and his sense of responsibility. And then he's there, in the middle of it all again, in this trophy room that to him must seem pretty grotesque, a hall of just terrible memories. None more so than the Joker, and there's this giant playing card on the wall smiling down at him. Note how Norm drew the eyes. But when Tim sits down at the computer, he's committed and he's focused, and he's part of the team again. Speaking of part of the team, check out how fast Dick assumes control of the damage control effort. It's second nature to him, having led super teams before, and he's not the type to let a young punk give him orders. Also, check out how Catwoman responds to Grayson. You can bet we'll be having some fun with that. Hopefully this last page gave readers a tingle. One of Bruce's worst fears is dying in a passive way, letting some illness overtake him, something he can't fight. It's happening to him in this storyline, and what he's itching for is one last thing he can punch and defeat. One last physical act that will do some good for somebody. And here, as he's practically on his deathbed, the universe hands him not the Joker, which would be the perfect thing as far as Bruce is concerned, but a Joker. It's great symbolism for him, and my guess is, in the last panel here, Bruce is as happy as he's been in the entire series. Plus, the readers get a fist pump as badass Bruce steps up, ready to fight. Of course, we'll see how that goes next time. And that wraps it up for now. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks for checking out the book. Thanks for checking out these commentaries. We hope you like it and that you're telling people about the book. We'll have a new commentary up for you here fairly soon. I've been running behind with holiday stuff and whatnot. If you have any questions at all about the comic, you're welcome to drop us a note at batmanbeyondcommentary@gmail.com. We'll have the address up here in a second. Happy New Year to all of you out there. Thanks again, and we will talk to you soon.